What happens when Hollywood co-stars stop playing their roles on screen and start battling it out in court? That's the shocking reality for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, two names once linked by a romantic drama film, now locked in a very real-life drama that could cost millions. At first, it seemed like just another messy lawsuit, but it's turned into something far bigger. Blake isn't only defending her name, she's striking back, demanding that Baldoni pay for what her lawyers call frivolous claims that never should have been filed in the first place. And here's the twist. This isn't just about money. It's about power, reputation, and credibility in an industry where image is everything. For Blake, it's about proving her truth. For Justin, it's about holding on to his. And for the rest of us, it's a front row seat to a Hollywood feud that's starting to look less like a legal dispute and more like a full-blown war of reputations. It all started with a countersuit that stunned even the most seasoned Hollywood insiders. Back in June, Justin Baldoni, best known as Blake Lively's co-star and director on It Ends With Us, filed a staggering $400 million countersuit against Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. His claims? That the couple had deliberately set out to defame him, destroy his reputation in the industry, and undercut his credibility as both an actor and a filmmaker. According to Baldoni, their words and actions weren't just personal. They were professional sabotage, meant to leave a lasting mark on his career. But what really made headlines wasn't just the number, though $400 million is enough to stop anyone in their tracks. It was the sheer shock of seeing co-stars from the same movie project turn into legal adversaries. Hollywood might be no stranger to lawsuits, but a public courtroom clash between leading talent on the same set? That's rare, and it instantly turned this case into one of the industry's most explosive dramas. And as the filings piled up, it became clear this wasn't going to be a quiet dispute settled behind the scenes. This was the beginning of a legal storm that would pit two rising forces in Hollywood against each other, with reputations, money, and careers all hanging in the balance. When the dust settled in court, Justin Baldoni's explosive $400 million countersuit didn't hold up. In early June, a New York judge reviewed his claims of defamation against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and ultimately threw the case out. The reasoning was blunt. Baldoni simply couldn't prove that the couple had defamed him. Without solid evidence, his countersuit collapsed, leaving Blake and Ryan legally in the clear. For many, that could have been the end of the story. A major lawsuit dismissed, reputations restored, case closed. But Blake Lively saw it differently. To her, walking away without consequences wasn't justice. It was unfinished business. In her eyes, Baldoni's claims hadn't just been weak. They had been frivolous from the start, wasting time, money, and energy while dragging her credibility through the mud. So, instead of moving on quietly, Blake decided to take the fight one step further, because for her, a dismissal wasn't enough. On September 7th, Blake Lively made her next move, and it was a bold one. In newly filed court documents, her legal team argued that she is entitled to damages and attorney's fees after successfully defending herself against Baldoni's countersuit. In plain terms, Blake isn't just satisfied with winning the dismissal. She wants Baldoni to pay for the battle he started. Her lawyers laid it out clearly. Every hour spent in court, every filing, every strategy meeting had drained time and resources that should have never been wasted on what they called frivolous claims. And now Blake is demanding to be compensated in full. But here's the part that really turned heads. Her attorneys signaled that she will be seeking a multi-million-dollar award to cover the costs.
Not a few $1,000s in legal fees, not a token reimbursement, millions. It's a move that flips the script entirely. What began as Baldoni trying to take hundreds of millions from Blake and Ryan has now left him staring down the possibility of owing millions to her instead. And for Blake, that's only part of the story. Blake's legal filings didn't stop at attorney fees. She and your team went further, accusing Justin Baldoni's side of deliberately running a smear campaign against her. According to Blake's lawyers, this wasn't just about a countersuit gone wrong. It was about a coordinated effort to damage her name. They claimed Baldoni, his production company Wayfarer Studios, and his attorney Brian Friedman all played a role in launching what they described as vicious character attacks aimed at undermining her credibility both in the eyes of the public and the industry. In their words, the case wasn't about justice at all. It was about tarnishing reputations. And Blake is determined to make sure those responsible are held accountable. But that wasn't the only battle brewing. As explosive as this courtroom clash has already been, it's only the opening act, because Blake Lively's demand for Mimunj and legal fees is just round one in a much larger fight still looming on the horizon. At the center of that bigger battle is Blake's own lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. She has accused him of sexual harassment and of creating a hostile work environment during the filming of It Ends With Us. These are serious claims that go far beyond money. They strike at the heart of Baldoni's career and public image. For Baldoni, for his part, he's denied everything. Through his attorney, he's maintained that Blake's allegations are false and that he intends to prove his side when the time comes. And that time is coming. Unless a settlement is reached first, the full trial is set for March 2026, a date that's already being circled as the moment when all the behind-the-scenes tensions will finally spill out into open court. So while the countersuit dismissal and Blake's push for damages are headline-grabbing, they're just the prelude to a legal showdown that could reshape both stars' futures. Of course, Justin Baldoni and his team aren't backing down quietly. In fact, right after his countersuit was dismissed, his attorney Brian Friedman fired back with a statement to the media that was anything but apologetic. Friedman called Blake's legal win a false victory. In his words, the dismissal of Baldoni's claims didn't mean that her allegations were suddenly true. He insisted that nothing about Blake's case had been proven, and that their side was still confident the truth would come out when the larger trial begins. The message was clear. In Baldoni's camp, this fight is far from over. Where Blake frames herself as the one defending against baseless accusations, Baldoni paints her as the aggressor, someone making claims with no merit. It's a clash of narratives, each telling a story that completely contradicts the other. And with both stars refusing to back down, the courtroom has become less about law and more about a battle for public perception. When you strip away the legal filings and courtroom jargon, what's really at stake here is enormous. This isn't just about one side paying attorney fees or another side proving a claim. It's about millions of dollars, public reputations, and entire careers hanging in the balance. For Blake Lively, the risk is deeply personal. She's spent years building her image as a respected actress, entrepreneur, and one half of Hollywood's most admired power couple. If Baldoni's narrative gains traction, it could cast doubt on her credibility in ways that money can't fix. Protecting her name means protecting everything she's worked for, both on and off screen. For Justin, the stakes may be even higher. As both the director and a producer, his reputation is his currency in Hollywood. Allegations of harassment or a toxic set environment can follow a filmmaker for years, shutting doors before they even open. If he loses in court, it won't just cost him financially. It could redefine how the industry sees him. And then there's the collateral damage. It ends with us. What was meant to be a heartfelt book-to-film adaptation has instead been overshadowed by a bitter courtroom feud between its leading star and its director. For fans, the movie is no longer just a love story, it's become the backdrop of a Hollywood legal war. With so much on the line, every filing, every statement, and every court ruling feels less like a procedure and more like a battle move in a much larger war. At this point, one thing is crystal clear. What we've seen so far is only the beginning. Blake Lively may succeed in forcing Justin Baldoni to cover her legal bills, but that victory would just be a skirmish in a much bigger war still yet to come. Because the real showdown hasn't even started yet.